this evening. First of all, let me apologize again for not having my video on tonight. We'll sort that out. I don't want to make any promises, but I know by Tuesday we will be back up and running with the video. Secondly, let me apologize again for what happened today. I blame myself for it because I think when I reflect on how it happened, I really wasn't paying particular attention. I got a call from someone who was from one of the chats. Now, I'm on so many chats, and I got a call just saying that to remind me that we have a meeting in the morning. And I said, okay. All right. And the person said, I sent you the link, just click on it so we'll be sure that you're up and running. And I was actually doing something else. So I said, okay, no problem. And I just clicked on the link, and that was it. From the time I did that, things just started to happen, and it affected everybody. And I started making some calls. I couldn't call everybody because, as I told you, I'm in many, many different chats, and they affected the chats. That's how they're doing it now. What's the purpose of this? I don't know, because, it's just so annoying. It's about this Forex thing. And it's annoying when you have these things coming up all the time. You don't want to see all that. If it's one or two, it's one thing, but it's about 20-something different messages. And so I do apologize. I wasn't sober and vigilant, and that is why that happened. So, but we'll get it corrected. There's nothing that is impossible. We'll get it sorted out. And just before we go into the teaching, I just wanted to share something with you. In fact, let me say thank you so much for those of you who have been praying. I heard Ella Gail praying for Jonathan today, and I really do want to thank you. And I know First Lady shared last evening. I just wanted to really express my thanks to you. Today, I would have gone down in the school. We had to report what happened to the police. We were advised to report it. And the reason what I want to share with you now is what happened. I look back at it and I laugh because we went into the police station. I can't share all of it, but just this part of it I'll share with you. Went into the station, which was not far away from the school, Jonathan and I. And the first thing that was a bit uncomfortable was the fact that there was this big barrier, glass, like when you go into a bank, and the glass that separates the tellers, they had that there, and I guess that came in because of COVID, but it was still there. And so I was talking to the officer, which was a female, and she couldn't hear me, and she said, "You have to shout." So I have to shout to tell her I came to make a report. Now I'm thinking, suppose it was a personal thing. Suppose I had come to report a rape or somebody interfered with me or my son, everybody would have known. So that's one thing I'm hoping that they correct, because when you're going to these public places, you want to be confidential. You don't want everybody to know why you were there. And then secondly, when I did say to her, I said I came to report, she said, what you came to report? I said, bullying. And she looked up at me and she looked at her colleague, and you came to report a bullying. And I'm like, well, yeah. But she gave me the impression that this is not something you report. She said, you talked to the principal? And I said, yes, I did speak to the principal. The principal knows. In fact, the principal advised that I come and report it. And she was like, I got the impression that I was wasting her time. She continued to write in. And I'll tell you something, folks. This officer, she was not in uniform. She appeared to be pregnant, so she was not in uniform. But if you see the nails, well done, well manicured, pretty, 3 different colors on each nail and some other things in it. And I'm saying, is this a police station? Is this the way they're supposed to dress, have themselves? I don't know, but I just found that to be kind of, strange. And then we had to wait a while and wait. And then she passed me on to one of her colleagues. And it's the colleague that really helped us. We sat with him. He's from the community policing. And, other things happen. Yeah, and I would share it another time. But it's just that particular thing. And I'm hoping that not everybody has that kind of reception when they go into a police station to make a report or a complaint. Because they need to know that it's important to you. What you are coming to complain about or report is important. It may not be important to them. They may, as a matter of fact, one of the things she said, she looked at Jonathan and she said, you're allowing people to bully you, and you don't know what to do when they come at you. And she said, I'm not telling you to go and beat up anybody, but look at your size. You have to let them know what time of day it is. And this is what the policeman is advising Jonathan. Huh? You can't let anybody bully you, so. And I get the impression that they're not very, well, she in particular was not very sensitive to the issue. The other officer that she passed me on to really was, but she wasn't. And well, they took the information and they told us what they're going to do and whatnot. But I do thank you. I thank you so much. This thing has affected me in the sense that as a father, to know that I have boys and people are taking advantage of one of my boys, it irks me. It irks me. And even last time when I was hearing First Lady talking, I have to tell you, I got a little, and she would tell you, and I'm sharing with your family, I got a little upset because I said, but you didn't even tell him how I was feeling. I told her that. I said, you didn't even, like if I wasn't in the pit, and I wanted you all to know. I wanted you all to know that this thing really affected me. Even up to today, when I was going on the road, I was angry. I don't get angry easily. I don't get affected by things easily. But when it comes to my family, that gets to me. And then the way that we were treated when we went into the station, this kind of dismissive kind of way. She said, I'll take a report, I'll take a report. But then when she put me onto the other policeman, she said, you could go with him because he's community policing, and I won't have to fill out all these forms. But, if you want, I'll fill out the forms, I'll give you a receipt. And it's kind of like, like that, a kind of discouraging kind of way. So I said, and then he turned to me, he said, listen, do you want to make a report or do you want to get this thing sorted out? And I said, I want to get it sorted out. It's not so much about making a report. It's not about arresting anybody. We just want this thing to stop. And we were advised to come to you. And that's why we're here. All right. So we went and, as I said, other things happen. I probably share at another time. But I'm just saying all this to say thank you so much. All of you who encouraged, who prayed, who I heard First Lady talking today about, the encouragement that she got she shared with me, from different people, and I really do thank you. And one of the things that I spoke to Jonathan's martial arts instructor, and he was saying that these boys are trained not to respond like that because they know what damage they can do. And they're trained to do that. So that added to Jonathan's personality, where he's loving. He doesn't like to fight. He doesn't like he doesn't want to hurt anybody. But you see, some people will take advantage of that. So he has to learn as well, how to defend himself and all that. So again, thank you so much. God richly bless you. I just wanted to get that off my chest this evening. All right, so let's continue from where we left off last evening. We're still talking on the subject, this thing called love. This thing called love. And we're saying that love doesn't cover up wrong. Love does not cover up wrong. And we talked about what happened in 1 Corinthians 5 with this person who was involved in sexual immorality, and yet the whole church seemed to have been covering it up. We talked about that. And we talked about the fact, we kind of related it to our present day as to what we would do if our leader, our pastor, our bishop, our prophet, whoever it is, if they are caught in a sin like that, if you know of that, how do we handle it? And we discussed that. We had some, discussion on that back and forth. And I'm grateful for those who contributed. The last thing we said, we looked at a particular verse, James 4:17, which says, therefore, To him who knows to do good and does not do it, to him it is a sin. So all of us who tell ourselves, look, you see me, I ain't saying anything, let them handle it, or, I don't want to rock the boat. We have got to understand that the Bible said that this is a sin. I want us to look at some of the scripture verses as we move on. Ephesians 5, 8 to 11. I hope Joshua would have put back the scripture verses in the chat. Ephesians 5, 8 to 11. Proverbs 3, 7 and 8. Proverbs 8, 13. Romans 12, 9. And Romans 12, 21. Let's look at those things quickly. Ephesians 5, 8 to 11. Proverbs 3, 7 and 8. Proverbs 8, 13. Romans 12, 9. And Romans 12, 21. Do we have those? Do we have people who chose those?
I have Ephesians. Do I read it now?
Yes.
All right. Good night, everyone. Ephesians 5, 8, 11. Walk in light. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light, for the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, finding out what is acceptable to the Lord, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them.
That's explanatory. Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. Expose them. And some people need to be exposed because of what they're doing. Let's continue.
Oh, good night, everyone. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 7 to 8 says, do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It will be health to your flesh and strength to your bones.
Thank you. Fear the Lord, depart from evil. Fear the Lord, depart from evil. Don't fear man. Don't worry about man would say. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. It will be health to your flesh and strength to your bones. Proverbs 8:30. Next one.
Good night, everyone. Proverbs 8:13. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride and arrogance, and the evil way, and the perverse mouth I hate.
Right.
Amen.
Amen. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil. We can't love evil. We can't hook up with evil. The fear of the Lord, if we fear God, if we truly fear God, we will hate what is evil, what is wrong, what is sin, what is bad. We would not just be intolerant to it, we would hate it. We would hate it when evil is present. We will not be able to stand. We will not be able to function. We have got to hate evil. Those of us who are of God, we are supposed to hate evil. Let's look at the next two verses.
Hello, good night.
Hi.
Romans 12:21. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good.
Do not be overcome, thank you, by evil, but overcome evil with good. All of us need to practice that. Because too many times we give in to evil. We ought not to be overcome by evil. Let us overcome evil with good. There was one other verse that we didn't think, Romans 12:9. Anybody had that one?
Romans 12:9, that love be without hypocrisy, abhor what is evil, cling to what is good.
Same thing it's saying, thank you. Let love be without hypocrisy. Don't be a hypocrite. Don't say you love the Lord and you're encouraging evil. Don't say you love the Lord and these things going on and you do nothing about it. Abhor which is evil. Abhor means to hate, to run away from, to loathe, and cling to what is good. And I'll tell you something. We need to understand that judgment is coming. Judgment is coming. Psalm 5:5. Psalm 5:5. Who has that one? Anybody? Who's
Just say your name. Good night.
Hello.
Hi, good night. Sorry, I was fighting up there. Psalm 5:5. The boastful shall not stand in your sight.
You hate all workers of iniquity.
Listen, thank you. God hates workers of iniquity. God hates. We think as God as a loving God, and He is, but there are things that God hates. And He hates not just iniquity, but workers of iniquity, those who practice sin, who continue. We say workers, A worker is somebody who continues to work, not just does something once, but continues to work. And all those who are workers of iniquity, doing the wrong things over and over, God hates. And let's look at one final verse in this particular thing. Luke 13, verses 23 to 29. Luke 13, 23 to 29.
Again, family. Then one said to him, Lord, are there few who are saved? And he said to them, strive to enter through the narrow gate, for many, I say to you, will seek to enter and will not be able. When once the master of the house has risen up and shut the door, and you begin to stand outside and knock at the door, saying, Lord, Lord, open for us. And he will answer and say to you, I do not know you, where you are from. Then you will begin to say, we ate and drank in your presence, and you taught in our streets. But he will say, I tell you, I do not know you, where you are from. Depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth when you see Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all the prophets in the kingdom of God, and you and yourselves thrust out. They will come from the east.
Just up to there. Sorry, 28.
All
sorry.
Right.
Yeah, and you see this verse talks about, there's a verse that said that he that thinketh he stand, take heed lest he fall. We had to be careful that one day we didn't stand before the Lord. He said, never knew you. But Lord, I used to go to church. I was there. I was in church every Sunday. I was there whenever they had anything. Yeah, but what about all the sin that took place in church and you said nothing about it? What about all that was going on and you ignored it? He said, I don't know you. You couldn't be one of mine to be a part of this thing. You are a worker of iniquity. So we've got to be careful. We tell ourselves, well, it's not me, I remember we talk about you could be with an accessory. You may not have committed the offense, but you didn't do anything, or you helped the person who did it. So what are we saying? We're going to use that same saying that came from one of our elders. When I heard her say the first time, I said, yes, I like this expression. Don't keep secrets with the devil. Don't keep secrets with the devil. You see, we have got to expose what is wrong in our lives and even in the lives of others. The devil likes to cover up sin. He likes to make us feel, it didn't make any sense. Everybody find out. It didn't hurt to nobody. It's like those people who look at porn. Well, I ain't doing anything with anybody wife, anybody husband. It's just me and the computer, or me and my device. No, that is wrong. It doesn't matter if you're alone or you're in a crowd. If you do something that God says not to do, then you are committing a sin. So the devil likes you to keep it under wraps, to expose it. Listen, why go and tell them you have this problem? Why go and tell somebody? You want them to look at you strange. You want them to look at you different. And these are the kind of things he says to us. Or you see brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so. Nah, why should I go to approach them and tell them that I saw them, in a compromise? And why? And you tell yourself, I don't want to cause any problem. And sometimes we try to be understanding with sinner. We try to understand. God said something is wrong, but we want to be more righteous than God or more kind than God. It's all right, man. And I tell you, for me, I told you, I think I shared with you already. I had a friend who was gay, very nice person. And at one time, I even told him, I said, listen, I was listening to a radio program that many, many years ago on a different station, and they had gay people calling in, a station in Trinidad, and they were talking about how they felt and how people treated them and thing, and I started to sympathize. I started to feel, and I told him, I said, listen, boy, I was listening to a program last night and I now beginning to understand. And that's when he admitted to me that he was gay. Because, I mean, he had only mannerism and thing, but we never discussed that. But I was telling him that. I said, boy, I listened to this radio program last night and I really understand, and I think maybe we gave the people a role. And he said, yes, and he said, because I am gay. And so I started to soften. But if God says something is wrong, it's wrong. And we can't be more righteous than God. And we have to speak out against evil. We have to speak out against wrong, regardless of who it is. Whether it's your husband, your wife, your child, whoever it is. We cannot keep secrets, these kind of secrets with the devil. All right, so love, remember that. Love does not cover up wrongdoing. It does not cover up wrongdoing. Remember that. Now let's move on quickly. It also says that love bears all things. Love bears all things. To bear something means to help carry or to suffer with. You know, it's like a three-legged race. You and somebody running, you don't run and leave them. You can't run and leave them. You have to go in step with them. You have to keep up with them. You have to wait for them, and vice versa. That's to bear all things. It's like taking care of somebody who is dependent on you. You know, to love your spouse is to carry your spouse's burden through life. Stay there with them, protect them, kill frogs for them and caterpillars. Only one person here or two people here would know what I mean when I say that. We had a little situation the other day, but we saw, first of all, a caterpillar, and this caterpillar was a very huge caterpillar. And it was on my pants. How it got there, God knows. I'm talking about inside my house. How this thing got there, and First Lady don't like those things, those creepy crawly things. And so I had to deal with it. I had to get rid of it. I didn't kill it. I got rid of it because my wife didn't like it. And it was making her blood crawl. And I think it was the day after, right in our toilet, was a frog. One of these small white frogs.
Dr. Richards?
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that it was the same day, actually.
It's the same day? All right.
Yeah, the same day.
The same day, there was a frog. How did a frog get into our toilet? I have no idea. And it was just there. And it was a white frog. Eh? It was white. I think it turned yellow after, but it was white. And I had to deal with it. I had to take it. Well, that one I killed. I had to take it and carry it outside, get it outside, and I killed it. Love bears all things. I had to do that for her because, I mean, when you see this thing, it really, we are still wondering if this thing was natural to those two things in one day. But because I love her, I had to, even if I was afraid of frogs, and I'm not, I would have had to deal with it. Love bears all things. Or I might have looked at her because at one particular time, I thought she was being very hysterical. Eh? She was hysterical because, especially with the frog. And, you know, I could have said, girl, behave yourself now, that is being foolish. I could have done that. But because I love her, and even though I didn't feel the same way, I had to empathize, put myself in her position, understand how she felt, and deal with it so that she would not be feeling that way again. That's love. It bears all things. So we've got to understand that's what, when you love somebody, you bear with them, even through things that you might feel, hey, that small thing. Love bears all things. It means that you stay with the person, you stay with your wife, you know, one of her shit turned from a Coke bottle to a Coke can. You all know what I'm talking about? You don't leave because of that. Because, you know, you get married to this person, and of course, yeah, they had the Coca-Cola shape, but then they had children, and children do things to your body as you get older. Even for us men, you know, we put on weight in the stomach area, and then the clock move from 1/4 to 1/2. Some people know what I'm talking about. You don't leave because of that. You know, love says, I will bear with you to all the changes. I will remain with you even in difficult situations because I love you. You don't leave the person because, you know, things start to lose the hair in the head. You know, there's a song, I know some of you know, it says, I'd rather have bad times with you than good times with someone else. I'd rather be beside you in a storm than safe and warm all by myself. I'd rather have hard times together than to have it easy apart. I'd rather have the one who holds my heart. How many of us could say that? I'd rather have bad times with you than good time with someone else. If you love somebody, that's how you feel. Rather than, you know, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, and that's why unfaithfulness comes in, because you feel you could find somebody better. You feel the person that is next to you, they're getting too old, or they're getting too slow, or whatever. Things change, but you have to bear it. Love bears all things. You don't give up on somebody because something. What if, and this has happened before, what if your partner has an accident and is unable to function? And I know this is a problem that I have encountered before with people. I remember a particular person sharing that with me. That you know, her husband is not able to function sexually anymore. But in her case, she said, I'm not leaving him. And she wanted me to talk to him, but I told her the only way I could talk to him is if he's willing to talk to me. But what happens? What happens if you are married? I'm talking to the married people now. And your partner is in an accident and they're unable to function at that particular time. What do? We have a situation here in this family where she's married to this man and he lost his sight. And she's still married. But not everybody is able to do it. So I'm asking the question now, how many of us will find it challenging to stay with somebody who has lost some function, some physical function, or even mental function? How many of us would find it challenging? Think about that person in your life. What do you do when that happens? Come on, share with me somebody. Talk to me. I know that we don't have much time, but talk to me. What do you do? And I wanted to be real because the nice thing to say, well, you know what the nice thing to say is. But will it be a challenge for you? Think about your own situation. Will it be a challenge for you if your husband become blind, your wife become blind, your husband get in an accident, you know, he becomes impotent, or something happens with your wife, maybe she did some surgery and she had lost all feelings, you know, for sexual feelings, I think. What happened? Would it be a challenge for you? Come on, you see, these sessions are to help us, huh? So if that is you, we want to help you. We want to know. I want to know if there are people here. Anybody, First Lady?
Dr. Richards, we have some comments in the chat. Sister Misha, hand is up, but just a minute. We have somebody say, if they say for better or for worse, I will stay. It makes no sense leaving. Then someone says, I will baby care for my husband.
Baby care. I like that. Okay.
Sister Misha.
Professor and everybody, good evening.
Hi.
If I marry you and we said the box for better or for worse, it means for better or for worse. I am not going to leave you in spite of whatever happens. I'm not going to walk out.
You see, Sister Michelle, let me tell you something. people say better or for worse, but they don't think about what the worst could be. And so when it hits you, you say, "Oh God, boy, I didn't sign up for this, and I wasn't prepared for this." And that's what happened in a lot of cases. So we think worse means, well, if you get sick, I'll take care of you. If you don't have any money this month, then it's okay. That's what people think worse is, huh? That's what
Yeah, and
people
I
think worse
understand
is.
that, but if I made a commitment, I give you my heart and my everything, and if anything happened to you, I will stay with you no matter what. If we have 5 cents and all, I'm not moving. I'm not. I made a commitment, and it's a commitment to the Lord, and it's a commitment to my husband. So I'm not doing that. I'm not backing off. I'm not a person who will back off. I like challenges, so I will stay, no matter what the condition is.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Anyone?
Dr. Richards, yes, Dr. Richards, we have Elder Sheldon hand up.
Okay. Yes, man of God.
Good night, everyone. I truly believe that, marriage is a covenant. And, once we understand what a covenant is, then we will truly understand that, when we say in our vows as a couple, is not just a procedure to get through and get on to other stuff, but understanding that, when you are covenanting, and you're not only covenanting with just your spouse, you're covenanting with God. And the same way how you are covenanting with your spouse, you're also covenanting with God. So if it is that you, and I'm talking here from a Christian kingdom perspective, right? That once you understand what covenanting means, right? I will agree, with the sister and with everybody that says that, once you say for better or for worse, you understand no matter what that worse means, I am in this for the long haul, right? I am really in this for the long haul. And unfortunately, right, we don't see that happening, right? And, sometimes, when we look at things, we tend to see sometimes I ask myself, sometimes, like, it's like the children in the world, like they have a better understanding of their vows than, sometimes the children of God, because they, you find, will stay, right? Because of whatever they go through, despite what would have happened, they would stick with one another. But sometimes in the kingdom, people getting, separating from one another for the most frivolous things. So it really asks yourself, really and truly, what are you really understanding the vows that you said when you stood before the holy altar and say, right, and said these things, understanding that you said this before a pastor, you said this before God, you said this before witnesses, right? And I heard a pastor say something once, and it kind of stuck with me. He said, if it is you came before God to get married, then who tell you could just go before the court to get divorced? And that kind of stuck with me, and I say, that makes some sense, right? So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, that is just my contribution.
Thank you, Elder Sheldon. And that is one of the things I've always asked. So it's good to know that somebody else said that as well. Divorce should be, you have to come before God rather than let's go in before man. But based on what you said, Elder Sheldon, one of the things that we have to remember is this. Two things. One, a lot of people don't understand what marriage is. And that's why premarital counseling is so important. And people come into marriage a lot of times with different concepts of what a marriage is. different ideas, so that when it doesn't work out the way they see it, it's time to cut and go, because this is not what I signed up for. And then secondly, we talk about the vows, that people not remaining true to their vows. But what has happened in modern times is that vows have changed, so that not everyone says for better or for worse, or richer or poorer. People say their own vows. They make up their own vows, and they say what they think they want to put up with. In other words, I will stay with you, and I would, the first time I met you, I saw the moon and the stars and whatever it is, and they have and nothing is wrong with your vows, but they stay away from that for better and for worse and for rich and for poor. And I have seen, I know some of these things are probably staged, but I have seen videos of a few of them where people refuse to say those vows for better or for worse. I don't know if it was real or if, as I said, if it was staged, but I have seen it. So people are no longer willing to go for the worst. It must be better all the time. It must be good and better and not worse. So that is what another one of the challenges. But if we truly understand marriage, love bears, if we understand love bears all things. It says, I will stay with you. It says that, whatever happens, I'm going to stay. And even outside of marriage as well, in talking about love bears all things, there are some people, and we have that even in this chat, this family, where you're waiting on God for something, maybe a healing, and you pray, you fast, you do all kind of things, and you're still in the same position. And some people would want to curse God and die. But if you love God, you say, God, I will bear this. I don't know why you have not healed me. I don't know why this thing is still there. I prayed for other people. I've seen them heal. I've seen them get their help, God. But for me, it remains the same. And God is saying, my grace is sufficient. And we have to understand, we have to bear that. If we love God, we may not understand. Job never understood why he went through what he went through. If you read the book of Job, God never explained to Job. We know because we are reading about it. We know because the story is there to be told. But Job never got an explanation. And that's sometimes when we go through things, we have to understand. If we love God, we will bear it. If we have done all that we can do, then we've just got to stand. Love is taking up your cross daily. Lord, I will do the thing. I will take up my cross. I will carry it. That's what it means. Love bears all things. It's sacrificing. Jesus had to bear the cross. And I'm not just talking about the physical cross carrying, because you got to help with that. I'm talking about what he went through. He had to bear that. And the worst thing he had to bear was our sins. Imagine he who was perfect, that knew no sin, became sin. You know what kind of burden is that to bear? We will never know. We will never understand. That's why he had to cry out on the cross. We will never understand what he bore for us. Love bears all things. We complain. Oh Lord, why I going through this? Lord, why me and why me? And we whining and whining all the time. Why me, Lord? Why it is? Lord, I serving you. Lord, I doing this thing. Lord, I ain't doing wrong. Lord, and all of that we praying. Love bears all things. If God chooses to have you go through this, you've got to bear it if you love him. If you love your spouse, you love your partner, regardless of what they're going through, you've got to bear it. You've got to bear it. Love bears all things. Any question before we wrap up tonight? Question, comment?
Nothing in
Okay.
the chat.
Okay. Well, we've come to the end of our session for this evening. Thank you so much, all of you. God bless you. Don't forget tomorrow night, 7:30, Don't forget, you cannot get in contact with me. I don't know what's going to happen with the WhatsApp, because it means that they would have taken over the WhatsApp. So I'm not sure what's happening. So everything, please, as you usually do, reach out to First Lady. And ladies, have a wonderful time tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. God richly bless all of you. Folks, have a wonderful weekend. I love you dearly.